Alright guys, we've had another big weekend of championship action, and in today's video we're here to digest all of the big talking points. Plenty to go through in today's video. As always, make sure to get your thoughts in the comments down below. But without any further ado, let's jump in. Lewis, who's a Bristol City fan, says solid performance against a good Hull side. We held our own and looked the better team and had the better chances. Nice to get a point on the road, but should have been all three. We're in dire need of a goal scorer as we are lacking in front of goal and missing easy chances. Definitely thought this was a step in the right direction from Bristol City's point of view in terms of an overall performance. Their problem up until this point had been creating chances, hadn't looked particularly sharp in the final third, but in this game they definitely got into a lot more goal scoring areas, ultimately accumulating an XG of over 3 goals in this game. Now Hull actually started this game out fairly well. Lovely goal worked by Liam Delap down the flank. He then whips the ball back into Ozan Tufan, who is Hull's man on fire at this stage. A few other key performers from Hull. Thought that Scott Twine looked like he had some nice touches, along with Seri as well. But in terms of a threat in front of goal, Bristol City definitely had enough chances to win this game. In the end, I think Hull will be pretty pleased to take away a point. Some good defending though, putting their bodies on the line when Bristol City did get into those areas. But like that comment said there, definitely Bristol City still looking a little bit light in the final third, because when they did get into those positions, they need to be that little bit more ruthless. Ryan says, as a Birmingham fan, I thought we played good on the counter and fought very hard till the end, leaving it late, but it just shows the difference between our style of play now. Great to get double-digit points. Yeah, fantastic win for Birmingham. Definitely leaving it late in this one, but what a way to go ahead and do so. Good start by Blues in this one. Scott Hogan with the goal, linking up well with Mayoshi, getting on the end of his ball across. To be fair to Plymouth, I thought they really grew into this game, particularly starting that second half out quite strongly. In the end, Plymouth get that goal back to make it 1-1, but in a quite similar fashion to ultimately how they lost that game last time against Southampton. Birmingham strike with a late winner, and I mean the technique and composure from Stansfield is absolutely fantastic with that winner. A real sucker punch for Plymouth, because I thought they were decent value to get a point from this one, but such is the cruel nature of the championship. For Birmingham, this has just emphasised their great start to the season, and yeah, they've liked a late goal or two this season, Blues, haven't they? Liam, who's a Sheffield Wednesday fan, says gutted to concede in the 98th minute, stupid penalty to give away as well, but overall we're not great to watch. Zisco won't be here for much longer if things don't improve. We're now the only pointless team in the EFL. A really damning stat there for Sheffield Wednesday, and this had to be seen as the opportunity to get some points on the board. Cardiff grabbed that goal fairly early on, and Wednesday, to be fair to them, do grow into the game. There were a few more positive shoots compared to some previous performances. It was a lovely strike by Barry Bannon to get them back into this game, but pure lunacy by Will Vokes at the end to give away that penalty for handball. Obviously, Wintle sticks it away and gets the 98th minute winner for Cardiff, their first win of the season now on the board. But from a Sheffield Wednesday point of view, it's tough to see where they go from here, particularly when their next 2 games are looking really tough against Leeds and Ipswich. Zisco is looking like the hot favourite to be the first manager sacked in the Championship if Wednesday don't improve from here. Mark, who's a Sunderland fan, says, not bad. First half we came under a lot of pressure from Coventry, but I thought we defended our box well. Second half was end-to-end, but I'd say neither team had cutting edge and the draw was probably a fair result. Still think we're a striker and winger short, but hopefully we address that in the final week of the window. Yeah, considering this one ended goalless, actually looked like a reasonably entertaining game of football. Both sides having a fair few chances. Coventry just about edging it in terms of the XG, but both teams having chances, with Cov with 17 shots, Sunderland with 15, and still feels like both sides are figuring this new system, these new players out really, certainly with Coventry bedding a lot of new faces in. And with Sunderland, I don't feel like they're a million miles away from being that prolific outfit that they looked like in the second half of last season, but definitely still a few shortcomings just in the final third. Whether that will be a case of them adding to their striker department between now and the end of the transfer window, or they look to get Ross Stewart back from that injury as soon as possible, because I mean, adding Ross Stewart into that side, and suddenly I think Sunderland are on significantly more points at this point of the season than they have been without him, if that makes sense. Noah, who's a Norwich fan, says so dominant and can't see this form going anywhere. The Sargent injury is a bit worrying and hopefully isn't too serious. Rose turning out to be a proper player. Want to see Ombobamadeli start, as I still believe he is our best centre-back. Yeah, brilliant performance and result here from Norwich City. The big blow coming out of it is that Josh Sargent injury. It does appear that he is facing a substantial spell on the sidelines, which is a massive blow, because I think he's been really influential with how how Norwich have played this season. I think he's been so effective playing down the middle, and it's going to be fascinating to see how Norwich go ahead and tinker with that lineup without Sargent there, whether or not Adam Eders afforded that opportunity to lead the line. Thought he did quite well coming off the bench in this one with a goal and an assist. But yeah, replacing that dynamic that Sargent and Barnes have struck up together quite early on is going to be difficult for Norwich over these next few weeks if Sargent is going to be out for a sustained period of time. From a Huddersfield perspective, not great. Defensively, really shoddy, and it's another game where they have failed to score. Huddersfield have only scored 2 goals in their opening 4 championship matches. They do have the worst attacking record in the championship as things stand, and still yet to pick up a win this season with just 1 point on the board. Still feels like quite a bit's needed with that Huddersfield squad between now and the end of the window, but between the two sides on this occasion, I mean, they were light years apart, weren't they? James says, Leeds going forward, if they keep the front 4 fit, are a scary team to play against at this level. It's like cheat mode. Honestly, amazing how much can change at a club over the course of just a week. Their attacking strength that Leeds lined up with for this game against Ipswich was absolutely scary, and a real contrast to what Daniel Farke's been working with in these previous couple of championship matches. To get Nonto and Sinistera both seemingly get back on side for the time being, both in the starting 11, to have Joel Perreault now as an option up front to play alongside Rutter. Yeah, that front 4 right there has the potential to be one of the best we've ever seen in the Championship if they keep all 4 of them past this summer transfer window and they do stay fit. All 4 of them on the score sheet in this game, and at the start of the season when we found out that Farke was coming into Ellen Road, these were the sort of matches that I was expecting. High scoring games, end-to-end football, and in the end both sets of fans got value for money. Even from Ipswich's point of view, despite having that 10-minute spell where Leeds just seemingly took over and scored 3 quite quick-fire goals, Ipswich had some really nice passages of play throughout this one. Actually accumulated a higher XG than Leeds managed to, and had 23 shots of their own. So Ipswich, I still think, will take plenty of plaudits and encouragement from this sort of game. Going up against a Leeds squad with that much attacking quality was always going to be very tough. But yeah, if that is what's in store for Leeds between now and the end of the season, could be a hell of an exciting season. Harry Hughes, a Millwall fan, says we played better in the first half, but second half we're lucky not to concede. Sarkic making a big save from Vidigal. Big win for us though. Yeah, hopefully from a Millwall perspective, that'll be the result to properly kickstart their season. There have been a few frustrating moments already this season for Millwall, but that first half performance especially, that's what I expect to see more of from this Gary Rowett side this season. Really did look like a game of 2 halves. Millwall definitely having better of the first 45 minutes, but Stoke coming out in the second half like a different side, with Millwall happy to protect the lead they already had. And to be honest, based on the chances Stoke crafted out for themselves in that second half, I think they probably were decent value for a point. Had some marvellous chances towards the end, but somehow none of them managed to fall into the back of the net. Bit of a frustrating one for Stoke because it was a bit of a slow start in this one. In the second half they were a little bit wasteful. Big result that for Millwall considering the previous frustrations. Great for Kevin Nisbet to get off the mark as well. I think he'd had a little bit of a frustrating start to his Millwall career. Hadn't been that involved in those opening few matches, but took his goal superbly well, and hopefully there's more to come from this Millwall side now. Mark, who's a Swansea fan, says really poor. I've now put money on Duff to be the first manager sacked this season. Still think it's too early to be talking about Duff potentially losing his job, but a frustrating start for Swansea, no doubt about that. To be honest, I did think there were some shades of positivity from this game against North End. I thought Swansea played some decent stuff in the first half, probably edged it in terms of that first 45 minutes. Patino, I thought, especially had some nice touches. Got a bit of a frosty reception because of his links to Blackpool, but thought he was probably Swansea's best player. Did really well for the opening goal as well. But credit to Preston, and especially Ryan Lowe, for a few tweaks we made in the second half. Thought the game-changer moment for Preston was to drop the back 5, go to a back 4, and all of a sudden we managed to open this game up a little bit more. Wonderful header by Andy Hughes to get us back into the game. Alan Brown with a brilliant cross from the right hand side. Alan Brown, the player who I think's really gone quite under the radar for this start of the season. The last 18 months or so, I think Brown's been a little bit up and down, just generally quite inconsistent, but from the start of the season I think he's really embraced this role in the Preston side this season, and yeah, I'm hoping for more of the same as the season goes on. But the winning goal, all about Mads Frotkiar, outrageous nutmegs, and then takes his time to find the right pass, pulling it back for Dwayne Holmes, who ultimately sticks it in for the winner. It's A similar template that a lot of Preston games have taken so far this season. Another game where we've not created an abundance of chances, but we have been clinical in scoring the ones that we have created. And it's almost a complete reversal from how we started last season, where we were seemingly creating loads of chances but weren't sticking any of them away. Nowadays, we've not been creating tons and tons of chances, but we have been really clinical with taking those opportunities when they have come around. So, frustrating one for Swansea. I think this game just got away from them in the second half when Preston did make those changes. But as a North End fan right now, I really can't have any complaints, and the more I see of Mads Frotkiar, the more I absolutely fall in love with him. Zane, who's a Leicester fan, says, can't complain with the end result and the table, but we are only winning games by 1 goal so far. We've shown we can score with almost all of our forwards, so now we need to win by a larger margin without conceding to show that we are the club to beat. Yeah, another quite similar performance and result in the end by Leicester, who are, I suppose, the ones to beat in the Championship right now. The only side with a perfect start to this Championship season, having won all 4 of their opening matches. 5 different goal scorers Leicester have already had this season as well. This time it was Casey McAteer who was their hero. 2 really well taken goals in this one to wrap up the 3 points. But Rotherham, decent value for money in this one, you know. In the end, it was probably Leicester's legs and quality off the bench which really told when you're competing against a side who has the likes of Jamie Vardy, James Justin, Hamza Chowdhury, Cassidy coming off the bench. That's the sort of level you're competing with. And yeah, Rotherham were always going to find it tough in those final stages, and ultimately that's where Leicester got their winner. Rotherham still searching for that first win of the season. Next up's not going to be easy either when they've got Norwich at home. Tom says, QPR played well again with no reward. Losing to Ipswich and Southampton by the odd goal I would have taken in pre-season, but we're playing better than anyone expected and it's good to feel aggrieved. Top 10, here we come. Yeah, another quite similar performance for QPR where they gave a decent account of themselves but just lost by the fine margins in the end. Despite Southampton having the majority of the ball in this game, QPR actually accumulated a higher XG for themselves. At least Chair looked quite lively in the final third, creating a few bits and being involved, but ultimately it was Adam Armstrong with that second half winner which went ahead and sunk QPR. From a Southampton perspective, you can tell that the overall quality did drop off a little bit in the final third, with them being without Teller and Adams. Going to be important to replace some of those stars in these final few days of the transfer window going forward, but when you have a player as lethal as Adam Armstrong, he's always capable of coming up with those match winning moments. That's now 4 goals from his first 4 matches this season. Can't believe Borough's only fit right back got a red in his first game. Again, we created chances, but what is going on with our defence? Yeah, Middlesbrough just can't catch a break right now, can they? Great stuff by West Brom here, putting 4 goals past Carrick's side, but the problems continue to pile up for Middlesbrough, and it still feels like that squad needs quite a bit of work between now and the end of the transfer window. Once again, going forward, their underlying stats were decent here, an XG of 1.79, but they just gave away so many cheap chances to West Brom, which they were ultimately able to capitalise on. It's worth remembering back to last season as well, where Middlesbrough definitely weren't the sturdiest of defences. Out of the sides that finished in the top 6 last season, Middlesbrough did concede more goals than any of those other teams, but what they had available to them was a ruthless front line whereby they were able to just outscore teams with their ridiculous firepower. That's no longer really the case, and suddenly those slack defensive numbers are really catching up with them now. As things stand, only Rotherham have conceded more goals in the Championship than Middlesbrough this season, and it just feels like quite a few things are out of sync at once for this Borough side. And then finishing things off with the Sunday game, we saw Blackburn beating Watford by 1-0. Good away performance here from Blackburn, a much needed win to get back to winning ways. Ryan Hedges with the match winner. Great technique on that goal, and Hedges seemed to be Blackburn's most threatening attacker throughout this game, really, creating a few chances before he ultimately went and won it in the second half. We thought coming into this game that it might be a close one. First goal was always going to be very important. I think I predicted a 1-0 Watford win in this game, but 1 goal either way. I think a few of us thought this would be a tight game, and that's how it turned out in the end. From a Watford perspective, they did get in some decent areas, but ultimately it's their 3rd game in a row where they failed to hit the back of the net. They had that great season opener, putting 4 goals past QPR, but since that point there have been some frustrations in the final third. No, they've still got Reece Healey to chuck into that side as well. Don't even think he was in the matchday squad for this game. But scoring goals regularly was one of those issues that we flagged up with Watford at the start of the season, considering some of the attackers that they've lost this summer. Well guys, there we have it. That will wrap it up for today's video. As always, make sure to get your thoughts in the comments down below. What did you make of your team's performance this weekend? Other than that though guys, thank you very much for tuning in, and I'll see you all in the next one.